Hello everyone! So I have a new video series to share with you today. And this series I'm hoping to do 2 a month, but there might be more, but definitely 2 a month, discussing heritage photos. As many of you know, recently my grandfather passed away, and when he passed away, I'll just show you. Among his stuff I found this. This is an old bank bag. It's not really archival safe or anything, but inside of it are tons of pictures. So there are both photos and there are also, here I can show you, like, there are like old, like his birth certificate from 1927 and lots of just things that you don't want to lose, things that you don't want to, it's history, a lot of history. That's what I guess that would be the best way to describe it, would be history. His old report cards from school, all kinds of stuff is in here. So I want to keep this, and I want to keep these originals safe, but I do want to scrapbook some, especially the pictures. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way through this pouch and photograph the things I want to scrapbook, and then I'm going to scrapbook them here with you through this series. Now for the originals, I went on Amazon, I did a little bit of research, I went on Amazon and I purchased some of these. I'm going to purchase more as I need them, and they come in all different sizes. This is a museum storage box. It's archival quality, it's safe for long-term storage. It says right on it, it's acid-free, it's lignin-free, and it will hold prints, photographs, and art. So my main focus there was photographs. So I'm going to take the wrapping off of this, and my plan for the next few months, and you can go on this fun journey with me, is to take these old photos. So this is the original photo, put it in here, and then to reprint the photos and scrapbook them. So you can see that I have touched this photo up a little bit. I only did it at a 3x4 because if I blew it up too much, then you can really see some of the age and issues with the original photograph. But overall, I think that they turned out really nice. So the original one is going into the museum archival box, and we are going to scrapbook the digital copy today. And then I also have these saved onto, like in a computer on an external hard drive. And as I'm taking these pictures, I have a friend that is kind of like fixing up some of the digital elements where there might be a crease or something, and that's going to help so that I have the originals, and the originals are now going to be stored completely safe, but I have some digital copies that I can share with family, or I have some digital copies that I can scrapbook, and we're going to scrapbook this photo today. Just going to put a little in that, and then as I work my way through that pouch, I'm going to take the pictures and put the originals into here. I know a lot of people commented when I did my heritage photo flip through about, you know, saving things and how to store them and you know, how to preserve them, and so I thought I would share with you my process to be able to do these pictures. So let's get into scrapbooking this photo today. So I'm going to start with this 12 by 12 sheet of craft paper, and I've decided to scrapbook this photo using the new Indigo and Ivy from Pink Paisley collection. And then I also grabbed a sketch off of one of my Pinterest boards. I found one that I thought would work well with my photo. I want to keep these pictures kind of scrapped simply. I don't want I don't know that I'm going to use mixed media on them. I might stencil a bit, something like that. But for the most part, I'm going to keep these pages on the more simple side. So I'm going to use the Indigo and Ivy collection. I'm going through the papers, and I'm picking papers that do not have flowers on it, because I distinctly remember one of the comments of one of my subscribers was that she felt like all heritage photos were covered in flowers, and so, or those scrapbook pages were covered in flowers. So I wanted to kind of take a minute and do a couple of pages that are rather masculine, and since a couple of the first pages I'm going to be doing here are about my grandfather and the photos from when he was deployed to the Philippines in World War II, I definitely don't want to scrapbook those with flowers. So I'm pulling out an oldie but a goodie here. This is a Creative Memories border punch. I pulled out a whole bunch of the little cartridges that I have. They actually still make this tool. You can buy it on their website, and they still sell the little cartridges that fit in. In fact, I recently just purchased a new one. And so yeah, this is still a really good tool, and I really like it. It's a lot less bulky than all of the one-off border punches. So I'm going to punch like a crazy girl. I'm going to use all of these border punches. I'm going to punch all kinds of different geometric things, and then I'm going to come back and show you what we're going to do with them. So you can see the borders all punched and ready to go off to the left of my page, and I also reserved the branding strips because I was wondering if I was going to need them to fill in some of the open spaces on some of the borders, but in the end I don't. So my plan here is to layer these border strips up. I did think about my sketch that I'd chosen to kind of follow, and I wanted to create all those border strips down the right side. So I'm just going to glue these or tape them together as they, so that they kind of overlap. And I have two of the scalloped punches, so I wanted to make sure that they didn't overlap. But you can see here, like the ribbon one is going to fit in the open space underneath the hexagons, and we're just going to continue on kind of layering these up. Okay, so I went ahead and layered all these up, and I really like how they look. I love the color, and I love the texture that it provides. I think it's just a lovely border to add to my page. I'm going to trim this one side up. Sorry, my white balance. My camera was kind of like freaking out for a second. It does that occasionally. Okay, so I've gone through the 6x6 paper pad, and I have grabbed some pretty patterns that aren't flowers, and I'm going to use them to go ahead and kind of mat my photo. I'm going to do kind of a gallery mat, so that dark blue, I thought it looked really, really good against my photo, and then I'm going to take just a little bit of this kind of golden color, and I'm going to mat my photo with that, and then I'm going to give it a larger mat of this kind of wood grain light, almost like a cement color wood grain. You'll also see I have that wood flourish piece. That piece is exclusive to the Secret Not Secret Kit Club. If you order, or if you're part of that kit club and you order the full collection of Indigo and Ivy from Christina, you get some little extra goodies to go along with it, like that wood flourish. And I think that that will work out really, really nice. I am going to darken it up a little bit, so that's some wood veneer with, that's a vintage photo, and you can just add a little bit to it. I'm just using my life-changing brushes to kind of boost that wood color a little bit, and that's a Distress Oxide ink. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to need to pop my photo up on some foam adhesive so that it doesn't kind of sag around the wood veneer. Okay, so I've adhered the wood veneer down now with some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I'm going to pull the backs off of the foam adhesive here, and I'm going to put those, adhere my photo down. And now we can kind of work on that upper cluster at the top and what we want to use for embellishments. So this did take me a little while. It was a little bit, not hard, but I wanted the wording to say certain things, and I wanted there to be no flowers on it. That was my challenge for this one, no flowers. And I felt like this Indigo and Ivy collection worked perfectly for that idea. Okay, so I'm going to go through the sticker sheet and the embellishment sheet and kind of get a feel for what I have here, go through the ephemera and get an idea of what I want to use. So I'm going to add my title. I'm going to use 2 different fonts. I'm going to use this gold puffy sticker and also the foam thickers. And I nestled my title in right there beside my photo, and it's just going to say the Hartman family because that was my grandfather's last name, and you can see he is the one in the Navy uniform in the photo that I'm scrapbooking today. So I've chosen a few of these strips. There's an entire word strip embellishment pack that comes in this kit, and shock horror, I know, there's chipboard. FYI, that chipboard, when you try to pull the sticker back off, it doesn't stick. It comes right off with the backer sheet, and you have to re-glue it all down. I know, that's such a strange thing to happen that never happens with chipboard. Anyway, I did choose phrase stickers that I thought worked really well for my photo. Okay, so this is going to be, I didn't want to cut all this out, but at the same time, for me, this got a little tedious to watch, but I went through all of the ephemera. I pulled that piece that's up at the top now, and that piece is going to be for the journaling that I'm going to write. I took that frame, I'm going to cut it apart and use it as a little bit of more embellishment down at the bottom. I grabbed that hexagon piece, which is part of the, I think it's a sticker, and it is a sticker. It's off of the sticker sheet, and I'm going to pop it up so it's the same height as the hexagon wood piece and as my photo. And I really loved the addition of having a couple pieces that were hexagons, because one of the border strips that I used is in the shape of a hexagon. So, and the wood flourish is also in the shape of a hexagon. So having that little hexagon kind of tucked up in there made that geometric shape a relevant part of our layout. It didn't seem off or like it didn't belong. So I'm going to kind of fill in now. I feel like I have so much wording going on with all those strips that I chose that I don't want to add too many more words. But I also want to make sure that the layout looks filled in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of these diamond shaped pieces and I'm going to add them to different areas, and then I decide on these kind of watercolory leaves. They're not flowers, they're green leaves. They still provide that little bit of organic movement that a flower does. And I think that has a lot to do with the reason why flowers are so prevalent in scrapbooking and so prevalent in heritage layouts, because you want that softness of an organic shape. And things like flowers or leaves provide that type of organic shape. And so I decided to go ahead and go with the leaves. I am going to stick down these acetate pieces now, and as you can see, I am just using some Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, spreading it around a little bit, smushing it down, and when it dries completely clear and you can't even see it. And now I'm going to fight with the chipboard. See, it doesn't, it doesn't stick. I don't get it. I don't have the layout right here with me, or I would read for you what I chose, but I chose things like, for the record, today, remember this, elements of like that. I didn't go with things that were super lovey-dovey, anything like that. And I'm just going to go ahead and adhere all these chipboard pieces down, and then I'm going to work on that upper right-hand corner. Okay, so I don't have a date for this photo. There wasn't a date on the back, and I know it would have been the 1940s. In that little pouch, I have my grandfather's original discharge papers from the Army, or from the Navy, and so when I do a little bit more about his World War II experiences and things that he told me about it, I'll add a more accurate date to those pages. But for this photo, which is of my grandfather and his family, his 2 brothers, my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather, who, by the way, I knew. They were pretty awesome. My great-grandfather died when I was 16, and one of the very first places that I ever drove was to his funeral, all by myself at 16. So that's interesting. Anyway, I'm just writing a little bit about them, about my great-grandmother and my great-grandmother, or my great-grandfather, things I kind of remembered about them, or how they must have been feeling when this family photo was taken before their oldest son went off to World War II, and just my thoughts on things. And so I'm going to use this piece, which is a cut-apart sheet, and I'm going to go ahead and use that as part of the layering up in that top right corner of my layout. This is going to be a fairly substantial cluster up here because it's going to have my journaling, and it's going to have this tag, which is from the 12 by 12 sheet, so it's rather large. And then I've gone ahead and chosen a couple other things to kind of layer up. I'm going to bring in a lot of the blue for this upper cluster, and I'm going to use the rest of that frame. So I used just that bottom part of the frame that I cut apart and tucked in at the bottom where I have the year. And I'm going to use those other little pieces of the frame you'll see here in a minute to kind of add almost like a frame around this cluster. So I wanted to make sure that I had a good bit of blue, and I wanted a nice cluster up at the top. I wanted it to be fairly substantial because there isn't a lot to this page. It's a fairly simple sketch. It's a fairly simple page. So the elements that I'm going to be using, they have to be a good size to really fill the page out so that the page doesn't look, what's the word? Like it's missing something, right? Okay, so I'm adding another one of those diamond embellishments, and I decided to go with a few hearts because this is a family photo, and I felt like hearts would be appropriate. And I'm not going to add too many, just a couple. I think I kind of make like a little triangle of them around my page. I think I pick out 3. And then I'm also going to audition a lot of stickers, a lot of elements, just trying to decide what do I think would really look nice. What can I add to that top to add just a little more verve, joie de vivre, I don't know, something, just a little something extra. And I'm going to go with this dark blue banner. And then I'm going to cut that frame up and add it. And I'm going to fidget with a lot of stuff here, trying to figure out what I want to add, what I want to put on to the rest of the page. So I cleaned up my desk a little bit and let the layout simmer in my head. And now I'm going to go ahead and I decided to just add those little pieces. That's the rest of that frame. I just cut it into 3 little pieces, and I'm putting it around. That pulls some more of the patterns that are at the bottom up to the top. And then I decide that my layout is done. I don't think I add anything extra past this. I do go through with the tiny little pop dots. I do this quite often when a layout is totally finished. If there are corners or edges that are just naturally wanting to pop up on my page, I go ahead and add a foam dot to kind of reinforce that pop up, if that makes at all sense. And that's going to complete this layout. Thank you so much for joining me today for this brand new series. I hope that you love it. I hope you'll follow along on this adventure with me, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see you all again soon. Bye.